Joining me for more right now is Republican Congresswoman Laurel Lee, a member of the task force investigating the first Trump assassination attempt. Congresswoman, it's always good to have you on. So many emotions swirling around this event and these events, right? I mean, anger, sadness, confusion, and millions are waking up wondering how we've gotten to this place again. Your response this morning following a second attempt on Trump's life.
Well, it's shocking. And we see, unfortunately, some of the same problems we've already identified from the Butler assassination attempt. We see again here. It's clear that the Secret Service needs to have a higher level of protection assigned to President Trump. He is under clear, grave threat. This is now the second time in a short span of time there's been an attempt on his life. So at this point, I believe it's clear the Secret Service needs to have a full presidential level of protection assigned to him. It is true that the Secret Service has resources that it has to allocate to a number of protectees. One of the things that we're looking at as a task force is how many agents they have, how the Homeland Security budget overall is allocated, and whether there need to be additional recruits, additional agents at Secret Service who are the best and the brightest and are able to elevate the level of protection that is assigned to President Trump as a candidate, in addition to maintaining the protection of the president and the vice president and the others who are under their protection.
Yeah. What have you learned overnight? Because, you see the picture of this sniper's nest, if you will, 2 backpacks, a GoPro that he's left behind. What have you learned overnight about what was supposed to be in place there? I mean, how did he get on the fence line of this golf course while the president was playing golf? Was there supposed to be an officer or detail at that fence that wasn't at lunch? I mean, what happened yesterday?
So you're exactly right that's one of the key areas of concern. So we saw this at Butler. The perimeter should have been bigger. When we went and visited Butler, it was immediately clear that that perimeter wasn't broad enough. The building where the Butler shooter was should have been secured. And we see this again here, that a shooter was allowed to get very close to President Trump. And that is the essence of, if he was elevated to a higher level of protection, that full presidential detail of protection, there is a much broader area that's secured. And clearly at this point, that is necessary. In the coming days here, this suspect is in custody. In the coming days here, we will learn from law enforcement, is he talking? Do we understand who he may have been working with and what brought him here? And the other thing that's crystal clear is the rhetoric needs to stop. For about a couple of days after the Butler shooting, I think there was broad bipartisan consensus that the way that we talk about candidates and the way that we talk about President Trump in particular needed to cool off and be more professional. And then it didn't last. And here we are again hearing about him as a threat to democracy and a threat to our country. And that we see this is dangerous. It has consequences and it needs to stop.
Yeah, it has dire consequences. I also wanted to pick your brain on this. Democratic Congressman Blumenthal said the public will be shocked with what the task force learned from the investigation from the first attempt. Don't you think Americans deserve for all of that to be made public, like right now, today, especially for those who need and want to go to rallies in this final stretch of the campaign?
Absolutely. One of the most important things that we can do right now is ensure transparency for the American people. And they will, I believe, find it shocking when they realize how many things went wrong in the lead up, in the planning and the execution of the Butler rally, that protocols that should have been met weren't met, that communication breakdowns that happened on that day, because it really puts in focus how dire the consequences are. The Secret Service has a zero-fail mission. So every single day, they have to be hitting every metric and making sure that everything is getting executed properly. And I do believe it will be a shock to the American people to see some of the things that went wrong that could have been easily avoidable, and the near dire tragic, the awful things that happened. And then, of course, we lost a rally goer that day and others were injured.
Right.
So you put it very well. It's not just the president. It's not just President Trump. It is the Americans who go to these rallies every single day and count on law enforcement to be keeping them safe as well.
Yeah, well, we're certainly, yes, we cannot forget the families that were impacted the first time around, but also thankful this was a second failed attempt. Congresswoman Laurel Lee, as always, thank you so much.